A punch originally conceived to tame Erik Morales in their first fight, Pacquiao's right hook, or Manila Ice, underwent tremendous development and opened a Pandora's box for his opponents. Welcome to Complex Boxing. Sweet Science Explained. This is Manila Ice, the evolution of Pacquiao's right hook. Morales dictated the pace in his first clash with Pacquiao. Effectively outboxed and pressured Pacquiao with controlled aggression. Dominated the exchanges and punished Pacquiao with well-placed counters. Pacquiao's weapon, so rampantly advertised, didn't do much damage on Morales. After the defeat to Morales, Pac's camp realized that relying on speed, power, and aggression would not be enough to defeat crafty and skillful opponents. They went back to the drawing board and exceptionally improved his footwork. And although Pacquiao always had power in both hands, Roach saw the need to refine Pacquiao's technique in throwing his right hand, particularly the right hook. Several months after his defeat to Morales, a different Pacquiao showed up against Hector Velasquez. A more disciplined fighter with more refined techniques. The improved footwork allowed Pacquiao to turn his opponents by using more angles to create a new position of attack and become more elusive. Part of the development was to become more defensively responsible by rolling with the punch. Pacquiao also became more adept in setting up traps, stepping back to get outside the opponent's punching range. Another small step back to force the opponent to overextend and exposed for a counter. Velasquez performs a Dempsey shift to continue charging forward and counter Pacquiao. Pacquiao ducks the left cross. Short overhand left counter right on Velasquez's chin. Exit to the outside angle, guard is up, and head rolls to reduce impact of the return fire. In an open stance matchup, Pacquiao takes advantage of countering the jab with a right hook which travels around the blind side of the opponent. The inside angle makes for an excellent choice to counter a cross. Velasquez steps to the outside angle, giving Pacquiao a shorter route to land his right hook. Here, Pacquiao is deep enough inside to time and land a counter right hook. Manila Ice became a much more potent weapon. After just one fight since their first meeting, Morales faced a different Pacquiao in the rematch. Pacquiao's balance and coordination is now more solid, and his upper body, side-to-side movement have become a crucial part of his rhythm. Pacquiao's elevated feints caused chaos in Morales' defense. Here he feints downstairs, sidesteps with a jab upstairs. Step through with a short left, Morales forced to turn and reestablish himself. Pacquiao's angles made it difficult for Erik to find him and retaliate. Pacquiao also became crafty in landing his right hooks. Here, Pacquiao sends a probing jab, inviting Morales to jab with him. leans to his right, then to his left to get off the center line, then counters with a right hook to the temple. Lead with a straight left. Right hook, catching Morales while he is pivoting away to his right. Here, Pacquiao punctuates his combination with a right hook, leading with a jab followed by his three-punch combo. Becoming more proficient with his right hand added a new layer of excellent counterpunch selection. Left cross looping underneath the jab. Counter in split entry, head off center line. Opponent's jab glides over the rear shoulder. Short right hook on top of the overcommitted opponent. Split entry counter. Exit to the outside angle, turning Morales. Walk down Morales with his three-punch combination. Close Morales' exit door to the left with a right hook. Morales had a hard time adapting to Pacquiao's improved style. Simply put, Pacquiao went full arsenal on Morales. In the third fight, Pacquiao reintroduced Morales to the true culprit of his defeat, the Manila Ice. The evolution of Manila Ice greatly helped Pacquiao in his future boxing campaigns, like utilizing it to lead his opponents to the path of his devastating left hand. Manny Pacquiao, one of the best offensive fighters to ever function in the sport of boxing, a fighter with speed, power, and incredible ring craftsmanship. But beyond the man with sheer punching authority is one of the most creative counterpunchers in the history of the sport. Welcome to Complex Boxing. Sweet Science Explained. Pacquiao's quickest way to counter the opponent's jab is by countering it with the same parrying or blocking lead hand. Here, Pacquiao catches Cotto's jab with his right hand. Then he comes back with a short counter right hand after warding off Cotto's jab. This counter also serves as a setup for his straight left hand. Circle parry the opponent's jab. Counter jab to partially block the opponent's vision. Quickly followed by a straight left hand down the pipe. A lazy jab, probing jab, or range-finding jab will simply get countered with a right hook over the top. Here, Thurman steps in with a jab, pretty much confirming the distance for Pacquiao. Pacquiao steps to the outside, flanking Thurman with a counter right hook coming from the blind side. Here, Pacquiao changes level and goes to the body. Bradley counters him with a short right, but neglects the importance of keeping the non-punching hand up. Pacquiao takes advantage of the opening with a right hook from below. If you don't know already, Pacquiao's camp calls this weapon the Manila Ice. Pacquiao's left hand is his main calling card. Here is one great example of how he uses it to counter. Pacquiao shoots a jab to draw a counter and impede Bradley's vision. Then counter Bradley's counter with an overhand left to the chin. Pacquiao fends off the jab with a light parry at the last moment to make the opponent overcommitted and overshoot his target. Splitting the jab or countering in split entry is the true pillar of Pacquiao's counterpunching game. The punch is thrown with the dominant hand in sync with the jabbing opponent while slipping to the outside. This counterpunch requires impeccable timing to pull off. Here, the small movement of Cotto's lead hand is Pacquiao's cue to set the counterpunch in motion. Here, Pacquiao uses a probing jab to measure the distance and draw a jab from Margarito, followed by a straight left upon Margarito's compliance with the bait. Here is how Pacquiao uses his side-to-side movement to draw a jab from the opponent. The split second where Pacquiao's head is on the center line is his bait to draw a jab from Marquez. Then immediately slips to the outside while countering with a straight left. Pacquiao uses feints to increase the suddenness and unpredictability of the counter. Here, Cotto steps in with a jab, expecting Pacquiao to feint again, but he is met with a straight left to the jaw. With exhilarating fights and remarkable finishes under his belt, boxing fans see Pacquiao as nothing but a brawler with fast hands. Looking closer, what he displays inside the ring is the craftsmanship of a master of boxing traps and angles. Welcome to Complex Boxing, Sweet Science Explained. Establishing lead foot dominance is a safer way of lining up rear hand shots in a southpaw versus orthodox matchup. To execute this, one has to step outside of the opponent's lead foot. Here, Pacquiao brings his cross closer to Mosley's face safely by stepping to the outside, obscuring his vision first with a jab, followed by a straight left hand. Because of the dominant angle created by stepping to the outside, the opponent is in no position to return fire. Stepping through past his opponent's lead shoulder provides Pacquiao the openings to attack and counter safely. Steps in with an invite jab. Steps out of the range to force the opponent to overcommit. Steps through to turn the opponent. Pacquiao has secured a new position as the opponent reestablishes himself. Pacquiao's proficiency in establishing lead foot position is one of the critical skills he possesses to obliterate his opponents with rapid-fire combinations. Setting up traps for advancing opponents is one area where Pacquiao is a genius. With the use of his excellent footwork, fighting on the retreat presents different opportunities for Pacquiao to set up traps without crippling his striking capacity. Here, Pacquiao ducks the right cross from Bradley, then comes back with a left cross while hopping backward to a new position, followed by an uppercut while stepping his rear foot further behind his rear shoulder to plant his position. Mid-distance has been established, where he throws another right cross and a right hook up top. Hops back further to avoid return fire. Bradley steps to the outside while Pacquiao launches another 1-2. Same rules apply, so the orthodox fighter can also establish lead foot dominance on the southpaw fighter. The problem is, Pacquiao is just as lethal in the inside angle. Here, Pacquiao takes a step back just as Lucas steps to the outside. Pacquiao also leans back his upper body to make the opponent miss his shot. In theory, the opponent secures the superior angle of attack, but because of Pacquiao's trap that led to this position, Lucas is now at a disadvantage. Concerned with staying away from Pacquiao's left hand, Ricky Hatton was always stepping to his left to take the outside angle. Here, Hatton steps to his left, prompting Pacquiao to throw his right hook. Hatton insists on stepping in with his guard down, opening himself up to Pacquiao's looping overhand left from the inside angle. Because of the difference in attacking position, Pacquiao shoots his left hand in a looping trajectory when his lead foot is inside and straight when his lead foot is outside. Pacquiao enters and exits to different angles. His angular exit point depends on where he positions his lead foot relative to his opponent's. Here, Pacquiao steps outside of Cotto's lead foot, then steps further to his right to exit while ducking a left hook. Here, Cotto establishes lead foot dominance, stepping outside Pacquiao's lead foot. Pacquiao steps out of punching range, then steps in with a straight left. Cotto counters him with a left hook. Then he steps his rear leg to his left, exiting at a 90-degree angle while ducking a right cross that he anticipates. By stepping inside the opponent's lead foot to land his left cross, Pacquiao creates a safer exit to his left, reduces the impact of a counter left hook by moving in the same direction of the punch. Finishing his combinations with a jab allows Pacquiao to re-establish the distance, keep the opponent's hands at bay, and reset safely. Here, Pacquiao shifts his weight by stepping his rear leg forward while throwing his right hand, adding more authority to his punch. With this move, Pacquiao's right jab or hook turns into a cross. Combined with his abilities to control the distance, set a trap, and establish an advantageous angle of attack, this combination has a percentage of hitting its mark. Left cross to the body to keep the opponent's guard down. Here are a few more examples of Pacquiao landing this combination successfully. The grind to become a world champion is a great endeavor, let alone become a world champion in 8 different weight divisions. In this presentation, join us as we follow the trail of how Pacquiao made history and became boxing's one and only octuple champion. The title run began in 1998. Pacquiao, unknown at the time outside the Philippines, challenged the champion, who was making his 3rd defense as the WBC and lineal flyweight champion. It was treated as a tune-up fight, and Pacquiao was the underdog in this match. The smart, veteran champion effectively outboxed Pacquiao in the early rounds. The champion moved in and out, landing scoring blows. But Pacquiao adapted, and when the champion tasted the power of Pacquiao's left hand, he had no choice but to play defense to avoid Pacquiao's lightning-fast 1-2 combinations. In the end, Pacquiao's speed and power proved to be too much for the champion. The PacMan knocked out the champ in round 8 with a thunderous left hand to the chin. Pacquiao struggled to make weight in his second defense and lost his lineal title to another Thai fighter via 3rd round knockout. Pacquiao skipped 2 weight classes and went to junior featherweight, where he amassed 6 straight wins since losing his lineal flyweight title. He had run out of opponents in Asia, so his team knew that it was time to take him to the other side of the world. Pacquiao and Freddie Roach had just met and were busy staying in fighting shape when an opportunity to fight on De La Hoya's undercard came. On June 23, 2001, Pacquiao made his American debut against Lalo Ledwaba as a late replacement on 2 weeks' notice after Lalo's opponent had to back out due to an injury. Unbeknownst to almost everyone in the West, a typhoon from the East had just arrived to shake up the boxing world. From the opening round, Pacquiao showed his wild, brash, aggressive, and offense-oriented boxing style. He was quick and swarmed Ledwaba with powerful shots early. Due to Pacquiao's relentless assault, Ledwaba was forced to go on the defensive mode. Ledwaba used his excellent jab to keep Pacquiao off him, but it was not enough as Pacquiao became increasingly aggressive. Pacquiao stopped Ledwaba in the 6th round, dropping him twice with cracking left hands. Lalo Ledwaba was regarded as the #1 junior featherweight at the time when Pacquiao absolutely destroyed him. Pacquiao moved up to featherweight to fight a Mexican elite and the lineal champion, Marco Antonio Barrera, who claimed the title after defeating Prince Nassim Hamed in a lopsided victory. Pacquiao entered the fight as a heavy underdog. In the opening round, Barrera knocked Pacquiao down to score a 10-8 round. However, the replay showed that Pacquiao landed a straight left and Barrera stomped on his lead foot before Pacquiao could step it to the outside. The first 2 rounds were quite competitive, and although Barrera had some success in some of the exchanges, Pacquiao's speed and aggression nullified Barrera's offense. The courageous Barrera could not keep up with the Filipino destroyer. In round 3, Pacquiao scored a knockdown with a straight left to Barrera's jaw. The barrage continued, and as the rounds went by, Pacquiao made Barrera look old and ineffective, landing fast combinations to the head and body. Before the end of round 6, Pacquiao dropped Barrera again with a right and left uppercut, but the referee ruled it as a slip. For the rest of the fight, Pacquiao dictated the action and dominated Barrera, until the accumulation of punishment put Barrera down again. Before the end of round 11, Barrera's corner had finally seen enough and threw in the towel to save Barrera from the onslaught. The legend was born, and everyone around his weight class was put on notice. The win made Pacquiao the first Asian to become a 3-division world champion. After his historic trilogy with Morales and a rematch with Barrera, Pacquiao moved up in weight class again to challenge Juan Manuel Marquez in a rematch billed as unfinished business, a callback to their first fight in 2004, which ended in a controversial draw. Being the only fighter who could figure out Pacquiao's moves, Marquez punished Pacquiao with excellent counters. Here, Pacquiao tried to make Marquez overcommit by setting him up with a trap, followed by his signature combination. Marquez extended his lead arm as Pacquiao rushed forward to attack, not to block the punch, but to keep the distance in check. Transferred his weight to the back foot and leaned backward to make Pacquiao overcommit. Marquez deflected the punch with his lead hand, followed by an overhand right and a sweeping left hook. Marquez knew that the jab would draw Pacquiao in, so he used Pacquiao's trap against him. But Pacquiao's sneaky left hand found its way to Marquez's chin in the third round. Pacquiao almost knocked Marquez down again with a right hand during a glorious end-of-the-round rumble. The fight was an exciting back and forth, with Marquez edging Pacquiao in the counter-punching department, while Pacquiao landed wild combinations. Marquez punched his way out of Pacquiao's best shots, and when one gets pushed to the ropes, a wild brawl always ensues. It was a battle to the finish. Pacquiao escaped with a split decision victory. The win made Pacquiao the first Asian to become a 4-division world champion. Marquez's camp called for an immediate rematch, but Pacquiao had something else in mind. Instead of a rematch with Marquez, Pacquiao opted to move up to another division and challenge the WBC lightweight title holder, David Diaz. Despite fighting in a new division without a tune-up fight, Pacquiao fought comfortably. It was total domination. Diaz had almost no answer to PacMan's speed and power. Diaz became target practice for Pacquiao's right hand. And the rapid-fire combinations made Diaz a sitting duck in the middle of the ring. In round 9, Pacquiao finished Diaz with a sneaky left cross. The victory made Pacquiao a 5-division world champion, and he held both the WBC super featherweight and lightweight titles. Following his coming out party and demolition of Oscar de la Hoya in a non-title welterweight match, Pacquiao dropped down to 140 pounds to challenge the lineal junior welterweight champion, Ricky Hatton. Pacquiao knocked down Hatton twice in the first round. Hatton was worried about Pacquiao's left hand. Pacquiao's camp knew this would be the case, so they sharpened his right hook in training as a countermeasure to stop Hatton from stepping to his left. Pacquiao made it an early night for Hatton, closing the show in the second round in spectacular fashion. That night, Pacquiao equaled Oscar de la Hoya's achievement to be the second boxer to win world titles in 6 different weight divisions. In his second bout as a welterweight, Manny Pacquiao clashed with Miguel Cotto for the WBO title, a tremendous fight at the pinnacle of Pacquiao's career. The early rounds were competitive. Cotto was able to keep up with Pacquiao's speed. Pacquiao scored a knockdown in the third round with his signature combination. Cotto recovered and continued exchanging blows with the PacMan. But the knockdown in round 4 was not as forgiving. Pacquiao hurt Cotto with a short left uppercut, while Cotto was charging forward. Cotto was never the same after the second knockdown. Pacquiao continued to demolish and walk him down until the stoppage in the 12th round. Pacquiao's impressive performance earned him the title to become a 7-division world champion, a first in boxing history. After the second negotiation for the much-anticipated Pacquiao versus Mayweather had failed, a match that would give Pacquiao the chance to win a world title in his 8th weight class came to fruition. Margarito outweighed Pacquiao by 17 pounds on fight night. Margarito had some success trapping Pacquiao to the ropes. Pacquiao took some heavy shots to the head and body, but still laid a savage beating on the bigger opponent. He backed Margarito up and landed almost all his punches. The fight that should have been stopped earlier became target practice down the stretch. Margarito's career was cut short because of the damage inflicted to his orbital bone. Pacquiao defeated Antonio Margarito via a unanimous decision. The Great had made it to 8. With the win, Pacquiao became the first and only boxer to become an 8-division world champion, boxing's one and only octuple champion. Fakes and feints allow Pacquiao to set up his offense by causing disarray in the opponent's offense and defense. Pacquiao sticks his lead hand to the opponent's face to 1. Use it as a measuring stick and keep the opponent in position, and 2. Obstruct the opponent's vision. Here, Pacquiao uses his lead hand to keep Barrera in position and maintain distance, causing Barrera to miss his punch. By keeping his lead hand extended even after missing a punch, Pacquiao keeps the opponent blind to the incoming left hand. Pacquiao conceals his lead straight left using side-to-side movements and giving the opponent different looks. Using decoy attacks, Pacquiao creates openings and vulnerabilities in the opponent's defense to land the money punch. Pacquiao is not known for being a prolific body puncher, but he knows how to get the liver when he wants to. The feint in boxing is a deceptive movement and maneuver that forces the opponent into making exploitable mistakes. Using a step feint, Pacquiao makes his opponent get more tentative on their next move and becomes susceptible to the real attack. Pacquiao's double-step feint manipulates the opponent's offensive and defensive timing. The reaction of the opponent to this feint is usually to go on the defensive. That is how Pacquiao exploits the created vulnerability using the feint. With a total of 42 rounds in the ring with Pacquiao, no other fighter has experienced and fallen for this feint more times than Marquez. And that experience allowed Marquez to create the perfect counter for Pacquiao's double-step feint. Rather than being on the defensive, Marquez goes on the offensive, countering Manny with an overhand right. Pacquiao's forward momentum doubled the impact of Marquez's punch. After the Marquez knockout, Pacquiao and his team embraced the style of a much more controlled aggression. Pacquiao's step feints combined with faking a jab or rear punch, creating pandemonium in the opponent's defense, offense, and timing. With quick step feints, Pacquiao walks down his opponent to gravitate to the ropes where he can unleash his combinations. Once the opponent is on the ropes, Pacquiao employs small and more subtle step feints to throw off the opponent's timing. Using fakes and shoulder feints, Pacquiao collects information on his opponent's tendencies. Here, Pacquiao feints with his lead, then with his rear. Bradley tries to counter, swinging all the way with an overhand right, sapping a lot of his own energy in the process. Notice how Algieri reacts to Pacquiao's rear hand feint. Naturally, Algieri usually steps into his left to circle away from Manny's backhand. Since the feint is posing as a straight left lead and not a counterpunch, Algieri can see the punch coming and will have ample time to step away. As a countermeasure, Pacquiao uses a jab feint while stepping in. First, to get in the punching range. Second, to manipulate and give Algieri less time to react to the incoming straight left. Algieri did not expect the straight left hand, as evidenced by his effort to counter the perceived jab with a check hook. Welcome to Complex Boxing. Sweet Science Explained. Using the high guard as a stationary defensive shield is like asking a relentless punching machine like Pacquiao to unleash a torrent of combinations on you. Pacquiao may taunt his opponent to go at it on the ropes to excite the fans or lure them in to get right back at them. Putting his hands together to block straight punches is one of the simple ways he uses his high guard. But you can't block some punches while being static, so Pacquiao employs a more dynamic type of guard. Here, Pacquiao block punches effectively while backing up. Pacquiao's mobility and upper body rotation make up for the limitations of the high guard. He also uses his lead shoulder to block or deflect straight punches. Pacquiao's best use of his defense is to complement his amazing offense. Here, Pacquiao draws the opponent inside the punching range while blocking and evading punches before punishing them with his own. Pacquiao sets up his attacks by maintaining the space between him and his opponent. Side-to-side movements allow him to slip punches and counter. Pacquiao uses his arms to control his opponent and keep them in position. With some veteran tactics and a little roughhousing, he can avoid retaliation after missing or landing a punch. Pacquiao uses his lead arm as a shield to keep the opponent occupied. Sticking his lead hand to the opponent's face makes them more tentative or partially blinded to his next move. When the limbs can't cover everything, rolling with a punch is the next best thing. Pacquiao integrates his foot speed and angles to his defense and offense. By securing a new position of attack, Pacquiao can turn his opponents and avoid return fire. Opponents will spend more time chasing him around while realigning themselves. Pacquiao does some of his best work in moments where he exemplifies the use of boxing angles. Offense, defense, and footwork are all fully integrated. Here, Pacquiao sees the looping punch coming from a mile away, then uses it as an opportunity to roll under and angle out to his right. Pacquiao exits to his right after landing a straight left, followed by a defensive move to negate his opponent's reaction. If you want to see more in-depth boxing breakdowns and analysis, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you won't miss anything.